When you're cooking your recipes at home, are you struggling to find everything you need when you open those kitchen drawers? Or are your cupboards just full of gadgets you haven't used in forever? Chances are your kitchen isn't properly organized. Now, one of our followers had requested that we do a video showing how I organize my kitchen so that it could help them. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. User Osman, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm going to show you how to streamline your kitchen, organize it into sections, and get the most out of it so that when you're cooking, you will become a better chef or home cook because you're going to be more efficient because you're going to know where everything is. To do this, we're going to split this into needs and wants. So let's start with knives. You only really need 3 knives when you're a home chef. One is the chef's knife. Got a bit of heft to it so that when you're cutting, you've got something to hold on to and you can really cut into your vegetables, meat, whatever you want to do. Pretty much an all-purpose kind of a knife. Get yourself a serrated, a bread knife really helps. This is the same bread knife I've had for about 15 years and it's still pretty sharp. Never sharpened it. And then a paring knife, right? Get yourself one paring knife because this is going to be for small little jobs, coring out fruit, chopping little fine things. So these 3 knives are going to get you started. Let's look at some wants. Now, one of the things that would be really nice to have is a knife rack. Now, this is a magnetic one. I've just stuck this on with double-sided tape. Takes your knife just like that. A chef's knife, which is a Giotto, so that would be nice to have. And the Giri would be amazing to have. This is great for vegetable prep, great for cutting real nice sheets of vegetables, things like carrots and stuff, doing julienne. This knife is also really nice to have. This is the Honosuke. This is great for chicken prep, specifically for prepping chicken. A Diba, which is kind of like a Japanese fish knife, filleting fish and stuff. Most home cooks aren't really going to do that, so this is kind of on the want side more than the need. And this one for filleting fish, but super flexible. And then this is a longer utility knife. This is good for slicing meat when you're on the line. You've seen the knives there, the knife rack. That's definitely on the want. You don't need a knife rack. You can make it work just with these sheaths and then put them into your drawer. But if you can swing a knife block or a knife rack, I would definitely recommend it. Apart from looking sick, it's also pretty fire that you can just take your knife whenever you need it. Now, a couple of other things I'm going to put in the knife section. This is on the want. It's not essential, and that's a mandolin. This thing is razor sharp. You do not want to cut yourself. There is a guard that comes with it. You can pick these up as well. Put this on, put your veg through, and you can get super fine sliced vegetables or anything else for that matter. So like I said, this is not a basic thing. You don't need this in your kitchen. It's definitely a want. Another knife, which has been on my want list forever, is the Tsujihiki. Literally means flesh slicer. I basically use this for just slicing nice fillet steak, salmon, things like that. As you can see, I've got a kind of inkling towards Japanese steel as opposed to Western ones, so that's just a personal preference. Try them out, see which one you like, and which one's in your budget, more importantly, and get one of those. Now, to sharpen your knives, you're going to need a honing rod. There's a couple of ways you can use it. You can basically hold it, get your knife at an angle, slice it that way, or put it down on a surface, and then this guard will give you, in theory, the angle you need for your knife. And then you just go down like that. So this is a need for sure. The best way to sharpen a knife is a whetstone, hands down. These ones are fantastic. Naniwa, Japanese, phenomenal quality. You don't even need to soak them. Bit of water, and you're off to the races. Now you're going to need something to use those knives on. So you're going to need a chopping board. Now this one is larch wood. Really solid chopping board this. I've had it for ages. Now I'd recommend wood over plastic. The only maintenance you need to do on this, every 3-4 weeks, get yourself some butcher block oil, get that on, and then just rub that in and then let it sit overnight. And then the next day you just buff it off. So all you need to do, and this prevents it from cracking and splitting. So we've got this one. Get yourself a cheap little bamboo board. This is for if you're doing like chicken or any fish or any of those little jobs and you don't want all that to go into here. So this is a great way just to get yourself a little board, saves you having to clean that one all the time. I mainly just prep chicken on this. Now, pots and pans and bakeware, we're going to put that into one category. The 3 main ones you need is a frying pan like this. You need a saucepan with a lid. Get yourself something that's got a thick bottom to it, so it's not going to warp and it's going to last you. Then you need a stock pot. Now, the thing with a stock pot is you can boil water in this, you can boil pasta in this, and you can make stock in this in big batches of soup. So these 3, all you really need. Now, a non-stick pan, yes, You can make this non-stick too as well. You can even use a bit of greaseproof to fry your fish and it won't stick. A little chef trick there for you. So if you've got the budget for it, I highly recommend a deep saute pan rather than just a plain skillet. You can do everything in this, risotto, stews, and it goes straight in the oven and it can go straight to the table. So this is great all in one. Skillet, you can pick these up pretty cheap. These will last you as long as you season them. They're a bit more of a chore to maintain. If that's not your jam, just stick to the basic stainless steel ones. These ones are a bit more work. And this one is a want, definitely not a need. So basically it's got ridges in it so you can get grill marks. So if you're doing vegetables, asparagus, chicken breast, you can get it ripping and rolling. It's like having a barbecue indoors. So this cast iron with the grill marks, very nice. These are amazing too, I recommend these. Basically put these in between all your pots and pans. You can pick these up from anywhere. If you can't find these, use a bit of newspaper. You can see, I can just store them all up like this. Put one in there, put one in there. That's a great way to stack and save up space in small kitchens. Now, another pan that is definitely in the want section is the cocotte or the Dutch oven. Absolutely phenomenal. You can do everything in this, bake bread in it, the whole 9 yards. Super heavy, lasts you forever. Take care of it, it will take care of you. Does look very sexy in your kitchen, trust me. Now this is another want, not a need. A huge stock pot, big enough to get your whole head in. If you can swing it, get one of these because then you can make big batches of stock. If you want to take it up another level, get one of these. Now with your pots and pans, I've also put in 2 things you need. These are basics, you definitely need these. One is a flat sheet for your oven. Bake anything in this, cookies, potatoes, anything like that that you want. Get yourself a little sill pack, saves you having to buy foil all the time. And a deep roasting tray, ideally with handles. You can lift it straight out. This one, it's got a nice little rack in there so you can put meat, vegetables on the bottom, lift it straight out. Now these are definitely a want, but earthenware containers like these stoneware, stove ones are fantastic because you can go straight from the oven, straight to the dining table. They look really good and they're super good and they last ages and ages and ages. So definitely not a need, but a want. And you can just stack them in each other so you can save a lot of space. Now this is in the want section. You do not need this, but my God, it's nice to have. A deep roaster, cast iron one. This is a stove, super big, lots of volume. You can cook a ton of stuff in this. This is a lifesaver for Christmas. Now let's talk baking. You've seen the sieves and things that we've got in there. Those kind of things you're going to use for multi-purpose uses. The basic stuff you're going to need for baking, apart from an oven tray, you know, the flour and all that stuff. Some form of a rolling pin, that will really help you. A cake pan. This one has a removable bottom and a little clip. So this is basic stuff just for making like all kinds of cakes in. And then you're going to need some kind of a rack to put anything that you've baked on top to keep cool. These are pretty much your basics. Now in your want section, we've got some mini, for baking, some mini little bakewell tarts or any other kind of tarts. You don't need these are definitely a want. Same with these little tartlet molds. These are fantastic, non-stick. When you want to do kind of like fancy canapes, really nice. Ring molds, you can use this for multiple things. Making desserts, making starters, and you can kind of lift up the ring or help you with presentation when you're plating up as well. Really nice. Silicone mold, definitely a want, but these are really cool come Christmas time if you want to really get into baking and do some cool stuff. This is a loose bottom tart pan. So if you like making tarts, you're definitely going to need one of these. So for lemon tarts, quiches, definitely not a need, but a want. And if you've got them, you need some form of baking beans. I've just used old chickpeas beans. When I'm done with them, I just put them back in here and keep reusing them over and over. And if you want to get into baking as well, definitely a want. Some form of a piping bag and some form of nozzles if you want to do any kind of cake decorating or anything else like that. So not a need, but a want. Now for prep, we're going to break this down into 2 things that I think you need, most kitchens do. One is a pestle and mortar. This one is from me old boss, Jamie Oliver, so this is a nice one. Grind, ton of spices in this, baked pesto, all kinds of stuff, rubs, marinades. They look really nice in the kitchen too, and you can store things in them when you're not using them. But I also recommend you get a good spice grinder. You've seen me use this on the channel multiple times. You can grind all kinds of spices to a fine powder, plus you can make tons of little mini purees and things like that in this as well. So highly recommend these 2. So these 2 you definitely need. Now this is definitely a want, but a good food processor comes in really handy. This Breville sous chef is phenomenal. Make doughs in it, chop a bunch of stuff if you're feeling lazy or you got mass prep to do. This thing really helps out. This is definitely a want. This is a Vitamix. Great for making smoothies, soups. This stuff will blitz up ice and bone like anything. So this thing's amazing. This is Kitchenaid mixer, stand mixer. I use this all the time. For baking, bread, dough, making meringue, you name it, we use it. Comes with a ton of attachments. Paddles, hooks, whisks. Really, really good, really, really handy. And you can put a ton of attachments on the front, like a meat grinder and things like that, which I also have. So for me, I need this. But for you, it will be a want for the home cook. Love this machine. Pasta machine. You don't need this, you can do this with a rolling pin. But this might be a need for you because you might make a lot of pasta. So if you do make a lot of pasta, then obviously you're definitely going to need this. But it's more of a want for most people, but I recommend them. This brand's really good. Atlas 150, phenomenal machine, made in Italy, lasts forever. The other is sous vide. If you want to have a go at this, you don't need this. Definitely a want. You could do the same thing with a Ziploc bag, but these are really cool. This can be a great tool for infusing flavor into certain things, vegetables, meat, things like that. And it's a good way to set it and forget it. Plus, it's kind of nice if you do a sous vide steak as well every now and again. So let's talk utensils. Get yourself some kind of jar to store all your utensils in on the counter. Makes your life a lot easier. So potato masher, you can mash up everything with this, from potatoes to veg. This one's handy, keep that. You're gonna need a pair of tongs, because when you work in the stove, you've got to flip and pick things up so you don't burn your delicates. A whisk, you need one of these for everything. Whisk up your eggs in the morning, making meringues, all kinds of bits and bobs. So get one that's something like this silicone that's not gonna scratch your pans. You need a ladle, soup, storing, pouring, you know, you can do a bunch of different things with this. You need a flipper for your eggs or anything like that. You want to turn over a piece of fish or something, you definitely need this. You need a spatula. Trust me, you need this to get everything out of your bowl when you're cooking. And then you need a couple of wooden spoons to stir with so you don't scratch up your pans. And I would recommend getting a slotted spoon, because when you're fishing out eggs or anything else, or if you want to pull out a portion of food and you don't want all the juice in this, make sure that some of that drains. You keep these in your drawer, but you need a can opener and a peeler. That will get you set. What would be nice to have is a microplane grater. You can grate zest of fruits, citruses, and chocolate, ginger, garlic, all things like that. So I recommend getting one of these. Comes with a nice little guard. A little kind of offset spatula that you can use just for smearing little things. Nice little pair of scissors. Nice to kind of want these. Fish tweezers, if you're doing fish prep. These are more for kind of more refined work for plating and turning over little things in the pan. Nice set of tweezers. Get yourself a little fish spatula, and it's nice to have a little pasta spoon as well. Funnels. So when you're making oils, doing anything like that, you want to put, you know, spices into jars. It's great to actually have a set of funnels. What's also nice to have is a cake tester. Definitely not a need, but a want. This isn't just for testing cakes. In Pro Kitchens, we use this in fish and meat to see if they're done. Stick it in, leave it in for a little while into a piece of fish, take it out, put it on your wrist there. If it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, that means it needs a little bit longer time in the pan or in the oven. And if hot to the touch, that means it's cooked quite nicely. Also for cutlery, most people have got that pretty much covered. Just make sure you get one of those bamboo inserts. Easy to organize your whole drawer like I just showed you, and you can keep everything neat and tidy. A couple of other things you need some sieves and you need some colanders. Keep them in your drawer nicely stacked. These two are essential because they're different sizes. You can sift flour with them and even use them to pass through sauces to get them a bit more smoother and nice. Same with purees. Kitchen scales. Gotta have them, because you've got to measure out everything accurately. So get yourself a set of kitchen scales, a set of mixing bowls. These are essential. Stainless steel, pretty much lasts you forever. You can store all your prep in there. You can keep, you know, stuff proofing in there, mixing all kinds of stuff in there, but super essential. You definitely need that. And you definitely need a good grater, because if you're going to be grating cheese or anything else like that, this one really helps. A want, definitely not a need, is a chinois. We use these in Pro Kitchens to get our sauces super, super smooth, because you can see it's got a really fine mesh and it just catches everything. So I recommend one of these. I have two salad spinners. This one's for fine herbs, and then this one is for like big kind of leaves and stuff for. Definitely not a need, but a want for sure. Lid pops open. Give it the old little pump. It'll spin round, it'll push all the water out to the sides, got a little brake on there. And then you have nicely washed and spun lettuce or herbs. Also on storage, you're going to need a version of one of these three. Either a deli container, which is what we use in Pro Kitchens a lot. These are pretty cool. You can store everything in here from meal prep to a certain amount of sauces, dishes, label them up, and they stack up quite nicely in your fridge. Tupperware, everyone's got some kind of Tupperware. I recommend glass with a lid. And then these are pickling jars, which you can double up as glass jars for meals, salads, all kinds of dressings. Now, a great way to store stuff in your kitchen are containers like this. Neat and organized. You can do the same thing in your pantry, anything like that, just put them in here. A kilner jar. You don't need them, but they're fantastic. Keeping pickles in, sauces, and your spices, lentils, pulses, you name it. These are really good. Just click them like this, and it's airtight. Another fun thing to want are squeezy bottles. Chefs love their squeezy bottles. Why? Because we can put sauces, all kinds of purees in them, label them up, and you're off to the races and do all kinds of fun plating. So definitely a want, not a need. These little kitchen pans are definitely not a need, they're a want. I need them because we use them in Pro Kitchens a lot, but for you at home, you probably were not going to need these, but they're great for marinating things in, storing a bunch of stuff and keeping them in the fridge. You can get them in this size, you get 6s, 9s, these are 3rds because they represent a whole sheet pan. So you put 3 of them together and you'll get a whole one. That's why it's called a 3rd. And then get all different shapes and sizes. So definitely not a need, but a want. Now, let's talk spices and how you want to organize them. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Well, not quite Jurassic Park, but what I like to call Spice Valley Kingdom. The important thing is to keep everything close to the stove, put them in airtight containers like these kilner jars. If your budget cannot swing that, get some deli containers or even use the bag the spices come in. You can even use Ziploc bags, just keep everything airtight and labeled. Organization is key. Very nice indeed. Smash.
So you're going to want this as well. Keep this near your stove. You're going to need all your seasonings like your salt, pepper, oil. And that is always by the stove so you can get easy access. You get yourself some kind of a container where you can keep your oil and pepper in, because that way, when there's a mess, you just have to clean this up. I keep my oil in a little squeezy bottle. I am due an upgrade actually. I'm going to get something a bit more fancy and nice. I'd recommend one of those kind of like glass ones that you can get. Classic olive oil type. So yeah, you definitely need these. And you also need something like this. What is this for? So when you're cooking, you can put your lid, your spoon, anything like that, you can just put it on here. That way you just don't leave it all on the counter and make a mess. So now you know how to organize your kitchen. The most important thing, get your storage containers, break your kitchen down into sections and have stations. Keep things close to hand. When you're on the stove, you want to have all your pots and pans right there. By your oven is where you want to have all your oven trays. Your cutlery wants to be in a tray like that with all your little gadgets. Keep everything in sections, easy to go. Label as much as you can, like you saw in Spice Valley, and you will know where everything is. Let me know in the comments how you're organizing your stuff at home, or if you want any more advice on anything I've shown you today. Okay, I'll catch you all on the next one.